Sometimes a lie is repeated so often that people think it's true. And reform supporters are completely convinced that asylum seekers go to the top of a housing list for council housing. And that's not true. In fact, asylum seekers, in other words, other people who have applied to stay in Britain for fear of their lives, are banned from social housing. Of course, somebody will now come onto this video and say, well, yeah, but what about refugees, the people who've been given the right to stay in Britain because they do have a fear of persecution in a country like Afghanistan? The difference between asylum seekers and refugees is very simple. A refugee is somebody who's fled a dangerous country like Afghanistan, but has also persuaded the British government that they are in genuine fear of persecution in that country. The lie that we keep on hearing, and we heard the other day from Danny Kruger, a Reform MP, is that asylum seekers go top of a social housing list. This is a complete lie by an MP, and an MP who knows perfectly well that they are lying. Once you get to be a refugee, and you've had your claim approved, then you are eligible to apply for council housing. But in reality, the lists for council housing are many, many years long, and unless you're in desperate need and you have children, you're very, very unlikely to get council housing in less than 20 years. Councils prioritise veterans, children leaving care, people with serious health conditions, people fleeing domestic abuse. For instance, where I live in Lambeth and inner London, there are 3 groups of priority people for housing. And in the top group, where you wait 1 to 3 years, there is no mention of refugees. In the second group, there is still no mention of refugees. And in the third group, where you're waiting at least 8 years for a bedroom, there is still no mention of refugees. The idea that refugees get priority access to housing is an outright lie. It's a lie from Reform MPs who either know they're lying or too lazy to find out the truth. Reform MPs want to stir up hate, but they can only succeed if people ignore the facts. So please do share this post with people you know, and if you want to get involved in the fight against reform, join the Lib Dems at libdems.org.uk.